been a producer, a director, a writer, an author, a studio head, an actor, a mentor, a visionary, and without doubt, a creative and financial genius.
I was writing for the Stanford Daily, and I found out that the film critics for the Daily got free passes to the theaters in Palo Alto. I thought, I'd like to get a free pass. So I wrote a sample review, and they took me on as a film critic. And then I realized I had to write about these films, and I started taking it more seriously, analyzing the films to write my reviews. And it was during that time I felt, well, I've spent 4 years, or well, about to finish 4 years as an engineer, but I'm not going to be an engineer, I'm going to make films. I had written a script called The House and the Sea for Allied artists, and they paid me a certain amount of money, and I took the money from that, went to some of the more successful members of the Stanford engineering class, got them to put up a little bit more money, and I raised $15,000 all told. And I got a lab deferment from Sid Solo at Consolidated. He invited me to lunch and we talked a while, and he said, I'll give you a lab deferment. You can have all your laboratory work done free. So with that and a few more deferments, I think the final cost of the picture was about $30,000.
I remember when I started Targets, he said, you know how Hitchcock prepares? He prepares everything. Everything's prepared. You know how Hawks prepares? He doesn't prepare anything. I want you to be Hitchcock. He said the other thing is, I'd watched him on the set, so I knew he did this, but he told me, he says, never, when you finish a shot, immediately go over and say, okay, now we're over here. Don't ever say, let me think, because everybody falls asleep. Don't ever think. Just know what you're going to do. Very good advice. Also, we didn't bother with things like permits. You know, Roger just said, shoot it. You know, we had a whole sequence in Targets on the freeway. You're not allowed to shoot at the freeway, on the freeway, be on the freeway, go anywhere near the freeway. We shot on the freeway, at the freeway. There's a cop car, shoot it.
When you're working with Roger, you just learn how to maximize the time between action and cut down on the time in between. The lighting time and the setup time and even the rehearsal time. Because you have to get the film done. And then later, when you have the luxury of a little bit more money and a little bit more time, you still find yourself falling back on those things that you learned to maximize the amount of time that you have to work on the film. So, I mean, everybody who worked for Roger learned the basics of films and made them, I think, a lot better qualified to be able to go off and make films for other people.
Well, what happened when we started New World, it got off to an incredible start. Every picture was a success. We became, at that time, within 1 year, the leading independent distributor in the United States. And we were producing and distributing. And I'd always loved what were called art films at that time, and I felt that they had not had really good distribution in the United States. And I thought, well, we've now reached a very high level, and we're good distributors. There's no reason why we couldn't distribute an art film. We picked up several pictures at the Cannes Festival. One was in the festival, another one was in the market. And after a while, the European filmmakers came to us because we really had the best record of distributing their film.
Historically speaking, I think people don't realize that the new Hollywood, once the studio system died by the end of '62, '63, the new Hollywood really begins with Roger Corman.